I think that first of all, it's important in any classroom, not just special education, because in any classroom you have different levels of ability, you have different learning styles. It's especially important in special ed, and in my classroom all the more important. Because my students have the most severe not only cognitive but physical disabilities. I have students whose developmental level ranges from levels that are measured not in years but in months to students who are, say, in many ways have the abilities of a 4 or 5 year old.
Okay.
So it's important that I be able to reach students at those very, very different levels. Okay, so as I said, my students run a whole spectrum of abilities and levels, and they have very different learning styles. So, for example, a student who is at a 3-month-old developmental level we're really operating on a very sensory level. I think you can think of students who are examples of that. And then I have students who actually have some verbal skills, who have some letter recognition skills. So for them, I'm going to be presenting stuff that is more abstract, a little more symbolic, sometimes presented with some words even, along with images and objects. So as an example, I have to teach students at a prerequisite skill level, but I still have to teach them the high school curriculum. So we started the year with the Odyssey, okay? Now, for some of my students, I can read a portion of the Odyssey and maybe they're getting some of it. For others, I might bring out a tub of water with a little toy boat floating on it and have them stick their into the water. For others, I can have them do reader's theater, and we got these big googly eyes and they took turns being the Cyclops. So I differentiate in so many different ways, you know, depending on what their level and their learning style. Well, one of the things that I started out, I think I was not a student-centered teacher. I don't think I fully understood what my students needed. The biggest lesson that I've learned is that they need active learning. They need learning. They learn best when they are presented with some sort of stimulus, some sensory stimulus, and they are allowed to interact with it, with the teacher actually holding back. And as you might have gathered, I tend to intervene too much, I talk too much, and talking at these students is not a useful way to teach them. Well, their IEPs are exactly that. They're individualized. So the IEP is tailored for that student's needs and developmental level. For some of my students, an eye gaze, just responding with you know, a flicker of their eyes is progress. For other students, you know, actually being able to follow the steps of a functional skill is going to be progress. I will say that we do a lot of errorless learning in my classroom. And so when it comes to our actual lessons, because we do have to teach the TEKS, for some students, you know, if they just look at a picture symbol of a response, that's an assessment.
Created using Powtoon.